Welcome to Saltaire Festival's poetry reading for 2020. I'm Ros Garside, Festival Events Coordinator. In previous years, we've read the winning entries from our poetry competition at a live event, but this year we've needed to go online because of COVID-19. This year's theme was Green Aire, encouraging poets to consider the local area. As before, we were delighted to receive so many high-quality entries. I'd like to thank our judges, Christina de Prose and Davina Silva, who demonstrated their expertise in reaching a winners list. They were impressed by the different ways in which people interpreted the theme. I'd also like to thank our winners for taking time to video themselves reading their poems, and Christina for reading the poem she wrote as a creative response. Our video consists of 5 poems. Adult winners are in reverse order, followed by the best under 18 entry. We end with Christina's poem. Look out for our Green Aire anthology, which will include the winning poems and others selected by the judges as being of particular merit. The collection will also include winners of our short story competition, also with the Green Aire theme. Entries for this close at midnight on 20th of September, so you've still just got time to enter. Look for details on the Saltaire Festival website. We're planning to launch the anthology in early December, at a live event if circumstances allow. Watch our social media and local press for details. Now it's time for the winning poems. 3rd place went to Pat Edwards, with her poem, Crossing the Bridge.
So this is Crossing the Bridge. Fresh air on Boxing Day in Roberts Park. We stand together looking at the new lake scoring boundaries on the cricket pitch. We walk up the footpath to Shipley Glen, boots and trainers overwhelmed by water, see the sloping drives of fine new houses channel cruel rain running off the moors. 5 years on, your examination year stands lost to sickness, grades subject to speculation, everything uncertain. We walk miles apart, overwhelmed by isolation, prospect of the new normal flooding our minds in different counties. We long to cross the bridge in Roberts Park.
Thanks again to Pat for recording her poem down in Wales. 2nd place went to Robert Maslen with Middle Catchment.
The air's so still without us. It's as if all her striving was for our good, not for hers, and left to her own devices, she will lie back in the summer of her waters and let dace, perch, chub, bream, gudgeon nibble at her toes. When it gets too much, she kicks out. A flash of silver breaks the surface. Startled wings burst from a willow coiled at her shoulder. Go to Hull, seems to be the gist of where this leads. But there's something else. You can tell, if you catch her eye from the bridge, as her gaze returns with a mother's wryness to the locked-in, locked-out, salt-named streets, whose absences make her so wild and so free. They called her the strong river, you see, and yes, she's strongest alone, but she lets the wounded town slip in beside her for old time's sake, and the ripples that move her surge and slacken to the call of collared doves in the glutting leaves.
Thanks to Robert for his recording. Now we come to the winning poem in the Saltaire Poetry Competition 2020. It's called A River Runs Through It and is by Mike Farron.
A river runs through it. You don't know what you've got until you're forced to look, till sea and dales are out of bounds, and fields and woods and hills and waters in your neighbourhood are all that keep you sane. You find the gap between the trees and walk the path that was not there till it was made by walking. Take the snicket's narrow track into a graveyard overflowing with life. You wander woodland, clinging to the space between our lives and lying underneath our concrete pavements, tarmac roads, waiting to come into the light if we'd allow. A river runs through it all, from limestone cliffs and rich farm fields, through old wool towns whose waste and filth choked out its life for decades, till the tide of economics shut the mills and fish returned. Now the heron stands in transcendental stillness on the weir as waters, turbid with the summer rains, rush by like time we thought was on our side.
The under-18 commendation went to Larissa Wanty with her poem Freedom Will Return.
As I stare out of my double-glazed window of existence, the cool glare of the world returns my gaze. As I admire the seasons which seem so far away, time makes a mockery of my efforts to experience them today. As I recall my freedom, so taken for granted when I was immature, the virus swept it away from me, like the tide sweeps away silt from the shore. As I wrestle with my emotions, in a bottle they remain no more. They lay exposed, like a shellless crab upon the seafloor. As I breathe in the air I have breathed before, it tastes different to the last time, more scared, more unsure. Will I see the mills, the air, the canal, the cricket played as it was once before? Will it be just around the corner, or will I have to wait a few seasons more? But as I confront my longing, the longing for freedom to explore, I declare freedom is in hibernation. I'll find comfort in nature's rapport. As freedom, like the seasons, will return, and it will be stronger forevermore.
Finally, we have a creative response to the other competition entries from one of our judges, Christina de Prose. It's called Airedale.
Airedale. Her northern sisters, Wharf, Ure and Swale, are generally preferred, admired for their green-eyed wildness, their pretty trick of seeming lush and fresh, despite centuries of use and ruin. The Aire is of a different nature, her scars and settlers more recent, her ghosts familiar. There's no pretending nothing happened here, where chimneys idle open-mouthed from Saltaire to Ferrybridge, and soot still blackened sandstone houses huddled at her skirts. Isara, strong river, home to children of the mills and mines, wool and coal, corn and cotton, ebb and flow of fortunes built on labour's wandering star. Her thread connects our scattered hearts, and those who come to call this valley home know her worth, the unexpected, brilliant flash of her kingfisher smile.
Well done to all the winners. Thanks to everyone who submitted and to our judges for their time. Thank you also to Aire Lofthouse, who supported the poetry competition with online workshops and who is helping us to compile the anthology. Thank you for being part of our audience. Just a reminder, we're hoping to launch our anthology early in December. Goodbye and thanks for watching.